All right, welcome back to the shop. Today we have a couple little projects to do. One project, I want to mount paddle shifters to my NRG steering wheel. Now what these are the OEM Audi TT paddle shifters for the DSG transmission. And what I've done so far was I bought some universal paddle extensions and I put these heat inserts through and screwed them to it. On the inside you can see these brass colored inserts. It's the same thing as these on the other side, but these are going to be what I'm going to drill through the steering wheel to bolt to. The idea is to be a little something like that. The other job I have today is I need to find a way to convert the windshield wiper stalk from the MR2 to the Audi TT so I can get the column put back together and have it be one piece. I get to do some experimentation to get this to work. So with the steering wheel so far with the paddle shifters, I use these M3 inserts. They're normally used for 3D printing. You just use a soldering iron and press them into holes in plastic and it holds onto it pretty well. Lets you thread in a 3mm bolts, and I got a 3mm bolt set of various sizes with hex heads. So I already kind of did a test fit with my hands, and the spot I need to put it in is basically butted right up against the leather. That's about where it'll be. Made a couple little pointed spikes. In my case, I used a whiteout pen, and then just marked up where I wanted to put it, and then press down. Gives you 2 dots to drill. All right, now I got more shrapnel in my steering wheel in case I crash. So for both jobs I have left to do on the steering column, I have to remove this hub adapter for the NRG wheel anyway. So I'm gonna get that broke free. So the situation I have going on here is I have the MR2 windshield wipers still, and I have all Audi TT steering column, but I remained with the wiring from the MR2 for the windshield wipers as well. I also kept the windshield wiper harness for the TT. So I went ahead of time with a power probe to find out what pins activated with each function. Where the MR2 only has 2 speeds, low and high, where the TT has 3. So I went through this harness, found out which wires activated which speeds on the motor, and I'm going to splice them into these wires correspondingly. I'm just going to splice 2 together so position 2 and 3 on the TT stalk will be high speed. There won't be a middle. The other thing I found out was for the windshield washer spray, the TT harness supplies 12 volts positive when you pull for the windshield washer, and the MR2 supplies a ground. So I went to the front of the car where the motor was, found out where it terminated, and I took the positive wire and put it to ground. So now the negative wire that's coming here, I can feed it positive and get it to spray now. So I can splice these 2 together. And the only strange thing was this one I have looped here to return the wiper to its home position. Actually, let me just show you. So with the ignition on and the power probe, I'll show you real quick. Ground, ground, ground. These 2 wires are for fast and slow. So if I were to put positive to it, or slow, any position I let go, there's nothing telling the motor to return to its home position, except there must be something inside the motor itself that sends power to this wire anytime the wiper is not in its home position. So what I can do is connect these 2 together, and it'll return home and it'll stay there, and this will go back to ground. So what I thought of doing in the harness here for the TT switch was I was just thinking about wiring these 2 together and then running another circuit over to this one for each speed. Problem with that is as soon as you turn the switch on, it's now going to ground, so you have a moment of short circuit which will cause the fuse to blow. So what I've done is I decided to purchase some diodes. These are 20 amp 1000 volt rating diodes. The silver line is the direction of the flow. So if I were to put this here and then connect it instead of just splicing it, I now can supply voltage to the motor, get it to do its thing, and as soon as I turn the switch off, this power will be able to flow and complete that cycle. Watch this. It always returns home every time I shut the switch off. So I gotta do a combination of a few of these to get this to work. So here's the grand overview of what this looks like before I go ahead and tape it up. It looks kind of ugly right now. I had to solder deep down into here. I couldn't get the pin out, so I had to solder a new wire in there, so I melted the plastic a little bit. That's fine. So what I have for the This yellow wire is the windshield washer positive. I have it split to send power to the nozzle. I have the diode right here to supply power to the wiper motor for high speed setting, which I have split both of these wires to do high speed setting. So that makes it so I can control just the wiper in the rain, and power will go here to this junction and split this way, but it will not go back to the nozzles. I don't want the nozzles to be spraying every time I turn my wiper on. So that's why this diode's here. And then this is the wire that does the return home function. And I've split it so that there's a diode for each speed pointing in only the direction of the wire. So we have the brown wire here, which is the low speed, and that's a junction to send power to the low speed motor setting. I guess I could have skipped this and just make it go to low speed for every time I shut the power off, but I guess I wasn't thinking about that at the time. Oh well, it's already done. So at one point on the back of the clock spring, there's this little collar right here that goes over top of this steering column. And there used to be a clamp that held it all down, which made this sturdy. I lost that, so I'm gonna try to use a hose clamp, heavy duty one, and see if that holds it down well enough. All right, here's the final product of this. Somewhere along the way in the swap, I threw away the harness that plugs these into the actual clock spring, so I won't have that for a while. I'll have to order a new one. But I like how they feel. They're right where I want them to be. That clamp did work back here. It's pretty solid as far as this goes. I can't move it. I had a little hole here notched out for running the wires through that. This one's for the horn, and these will be for the paddle shifters once I get that wiring in. I do now have access to my onboard computer. I have the washer. I have the momentary switch. I have low speed, and then obviously 2 high speeds like we discussed before. And then every time I let go, it returns home. Overall, I'm fairly happy with how this turned out. It feels a lot more streetable in here now. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to see more updates on this car, please consider subscribing to the channel. We have lots more to do on it, and we have our other project cars on the way shortly. Thank you for watching. Peace out.